Good day, everyone. Goddess of Radical Self-Love here for MECA. Make everyone count always. We're a resource network for caregivers, care receivers, and resources within the industry of long-term services and supports. Today, we're beginning with Meditations from Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. Sorry, I thought I was ready, but I guess not. Nothing stays the same. Nothing remains static. Which way a thing changes depends on you. I'm ready for the change. Are you ready for the change? I'm ready for the change. Yeah. Because if you watched my last video, you'll know I'm definitely ready for a change. I guess my last two videos have really shown you from the beginning to where I am now. I mean, where MECA is too, and why the Goddess of Radical Self-Love ended up existing. You know, following your goals, dreams, passion, desires. Yeah, it's not always easy. But let's stay focused on the prize and what the feeling of that prize will entail, right? So when MECA is functioning, up and running the way it is supposed to, what would that feeling bring to you? It's a feeling of protection, of consistency, of higher expectations, of being treated with dignity. I mean, I know I'm not alone. I know my daughter's not alone. I know my friends who are caregivers and care receivers, they're experiencing the same issues we are. And it really doesn't matter the diagnosis. We're all using the same resources. So, where did I leave off on? Let me see. I'm going to just move my one camera to I have so many newsletters out here that it's like, ah. Well, if I can't find it on here, I'm going to have to just go off from where I left off, I believe. So, yeah, we got back from the vacation, and then it was my birthday. I'm like, wait a second, that was the year before. It was my birthday, and I had lost my engagement ring, and I didn't know what to do because now I had to do something. So I called one of my friends, pretty revved up emotionally, and she said, "We'll come and celebrate your birthday on my boat." Well, So I went and stayed, actually. We had a great birthday, but I needed some time away from the house, and to try to figure out how to organize everything. So I stayed with her and went back and forth almost every single day, most mornings before anybody was up, and cleaned the house and made food and, you know, did all the mom things. But then I had to go. And this was okay. I mean, it was in the summer and it was beautiful out, and, you know, during the day was pretty great. And at night is really when the emotional turmoil would start to set in. So I really wanted to be able to be with my kids, but I didn't see a way how. It was made to be nearly impossible in every direction. And even if I would have taken another position, another career job, it was still going to weigh on my relationship with them, because my ex didn't have a job. He could always be home, and, you know, he had everything he needed, and I didn't. And he made that quite clear to not only myself, but my children. So what I did during the day, though, was meet with, you know, the SEIU, the Service Employee Union Group, go to their meetings, go to their functions to support them, the caregivers and the care receivers that are part of it. I met with lots of different political figures and those who would be running. Actually, a lot of them who won just this last week. I am extremely excited about, because they all understand how important this issue of healthcare and caregivers and care receivers and the long-term services and supports industry, they understand how important it is. Most of them that I was supporting her do support. So, you know, Tim Flanagan, Angie, and of course Hunter, you know, these are Minnesota people. So yeah, I see things that are going to change, but my relationship within the SEIU did not, you know, go as I had planned. I did make some really great friendships, and I know that there's people within there who really know my true nature, but, you know, maybe it just wasn't the place for me. Maybe my place is just with MECA, with you. So, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to get everything going as fast as I wanted. During this time, I met quite a few people that wanted to help me with MECA, so they said. One of them actually was a really good friend of mine. My friend who I was staying with on the boat, she did too, but she was more like an inspirational help. You know, she was like pumping me up every day, and she was just amazing. And then, well, both of our other friends, I guess they weren't really friends, but they knew each other, got involved, and, well, let's just say, you know what, here's a very good So you understand, I am a mirror of other people's insecurities or issues that they might be having, and her and I seem to have a lot in common actually within our home lives. So it's very difficult, and just like it was for me at my house, to be telling people on the outside, like, you know, do everything you're capable and go out there and reach your dreams and do all these amazing things, right? Stand up, be counted, blah, blah, blah. But then to be at home and not have that same enthusiasm going, where you're just going to sit back and relax and let life pass you by in some ways. That's at least how I felt, that there was no community involvement. There wasn't a lot of the things that I enjoyed doing or wanted to do happening at home. Like, we all need to play a part in this. We all need to stand up and say, look, this is what is happening. People are literally dying and being abused and neglected, and we can't stand for it. So if I'm telling people that on the outside of my home to join with me, then the people in the inside of my home better damn well be doing that too, is my view. So when I was with my one business partner, that kind of how I saw her being treated was very similar to how I was being treated, and I'm saying no more. Like, I don't like it. She didn't necessarily like that. Neither did her husband. Well, they're not married either, so pretty much the same shit, different day, whatever. So, but that took a while to all bleed out. The first issue that I stumbled upon actually was someone who wanted to help, but he really wanted information. And because I was so new in this industry, I gave him a lot of information that I shouldn't have, and he turned it into a business proposal for me and wanted to take more than half my company. So it was kind of like, bit by bit, I gave him plans. So how I explained it was like, to my ex, because my ex, of course, didn't think it was a problem, is that he had a neighbor. Let's say this is the story. Okay, I'm telling this to my ex. So pretend a neighbor from up the street came down and saw you working on a boat, or knew you guys had talked, and he knew that you had plans to make a boat. So little by little, each day he would come down and you tell him a little bit about your boat. You tell him, and he'd ask more questions like, how do you do this measurement? How do you do that measurement? Blah, blah, blah. So basically, you told him the plans, a big portion of the plans. But one day he comes down and you're pretty much done with your boat. But he put some paint on it for you and then decides to sell the whole thing back to you, the whole damn thing back to you. You made the boat and he just put some random ass color on it and decides to sell it back to you. So that's basically what happened. So yeah, I obviously didn't sell him my boat, but I went through a whole bunch of crap, you know, during it. And who knows if he's selling my boat right now, but whatever. Thank goodness we do have an attorney, which is my first business partner's relative, and who's amazing. And he's literally been the one who has been supporting MECA and my dream this entire time. So thank you. So, yeah, it got to be fall and I had to move back because it was cold. And I think it snowed. It actually did snow a lot. And so we were walking, my friend and I were getting out of the boat in like, wah, kind of snow, going up the docks that were pretty slippery in heels. But, you know, I was trying to give it all a go again, and it didn't work. So, you know, with Orion's surgeries and her surgery she had, and we had to, I didn't know after her surgery, I didn't realize how much pain she was going to be in, and it had been a while since she had surgery, so they didn't really tell us a lot of information before it. So basically, we didn't find out that she was going to be non-weight bearing till she had surgery, which means she can't stand up non-weight bearing. And see, she had one ankle fused, and now the other ankle needs to be fused this summer or after she gets out of school. So she has two bad ones. She couldn't just like I would be able to do, stand up, hop around on the one. Not that I wouldn't be in pain or have a little weirdness because I'd be on medication, but she couldn't do those things. And I was worried that what happens if she falls? Like, am I even going to be able to pick her up by myself? And, you know, so I was really concerned, and the doctors agreed. So they're like, well, maybe we need to put her like in a nursing home at least for a little bit so she, you know, is safe. I was like, yes, I think that's what we need to do. Well, I should really let her tell you, the Conscious Queen, tell you what happened, but it was like, it was horrible. Horrible. It's funny because I had no idea, even though I did. I did it firsthand what incompetent care looks like in such a fashion of not enough staff, not trained staff, not compassionate staff, definitely. And it's just not a place you'd ever want anybody you love to go to. There were people yelling out from their rooms for help. Literally, help me, help me. They left my daughter sitting on the toilet for over a half an hour at times on drugs, on really high doses of medication, and she would ring the bell and nobody come. They would just strip her down naked and wash her off with a cold rag at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and top to bottom, just no care about what she wanted. And this is when I got angry, okay? This is when I got to the point where I was like, it became real. For our seniors. It became real about what they were going to be facing. What they're facing right now without MECA. So when I'm talking about long-term services and supports across the board, I mean institutionalized care can be upgraded. We can do that. So she, that day, the first day I wanted to take her out of there, like that day. And there are people who are probably still there right now. And nothing has changed right now. I guarantee you nothing has changed. But they fought me to take her out. They fought me. They said they couldn't release her, and that if they released her, then I'd have to be signing her out without a doctor's pre-authorization, and I would be having to pay for the bill. So I had to keep her in there. But what's really hilarious is by the time they finally released her, not one doctor had ever come to visit her. They couldn't figure out transportation to even get her to her doctor. And I didn't have a vehicle for her. Not that could get somebody in a wheelchair in. And we couldn't just lift her into the car. She couldn't get in it. There was no way. And it was just not the type of care anybody deserves. So after that, oh, but my ex wanted her to stay there. Yeah. He didn't think that I could handle her on my own, which is why I was so pissed, is because I could have completely handled her on my own in so much better of a fashion than these people were doing. It was like nobody had any training ever. Nobody had ever seen a client ever before in their entire lives. I mean, they literally had no conversation with her. They did not care. They were cold. They were just in and out like it was some kind of factory. So, of course, I could provide her with better care. Anybody almost could. It was ridiculous. And he wanted her to stay there. So, obviously, we were arguing even more then. And then, of course, when she got home, she had the nicest treat of all. Since our dog had fallen out of his little doggy bed on the floor because he couldn't walk for almost a year because he needed to go be put down forever, our ex decided to put him to sleep by himself at home while my daughter listened with a plastic bag. Our 22-year-old love, my love. It was his originally, so I couldn't bring him in to do it myself. Like, it was his dog originally, so I couldn't just take his dog in and have him put down. But I should have anyway. Like, the goddess of radical self-love would have. That's today. So, her and I were making plans on how we can get her out of there as fast as possible. And that ended up being with me saving all my money for caregiving, which is always what I do. And I got some taxes back, so we went ahead and got her an apartment. I was still trying to figure out for myself how the hell I was going to get out of there when one of my son's friends called me pretty upset, in tears, and he needed a place to stay. He'd be in, what is with this word lately? He'd been in a foster home for quite some time, which I already knew because I knew the whole family. And I was a foster child. So I obviously felt a very strong connection for him. And I talked to my ex, and I literally was willing to almost stay there just so he could have a home. Yeah. And I talked to my ex, and I told him what was going on. And obviously, we had a spare room. So, and we had a whole open downstairs, you know, the house is like 6,000 square feet. There's plenty of room. And he says, no. Can't stay here. So I was like, okay. I talked to the social worker and I said, give me some time. I'll figure it out. Like, I'm working on getting a place myself anyway, so whatever. He can't have a home with us. Blah. So, sorry, just got to make sure I can pick my son up on time. Sons. All three of them. So some things went down, and my ex actually ended up having to leave. Decisions and choices he made. I would have definitely figured it out a much easier way than the way he chose for it to work. That is not the way I wanted it. But now, just remember that this entire time I'm trying to figure out how I can possibly be able to support myself and my children and work so that I'm still giving them all the amount of time that they need. Meanwhile, on the other side, they are being inundated with bullshit about me. So, was I angry? Yeah. Was I unhappy? Yeah. Was I responding to my environment? Hell yeah. But now, let's just wait. So, social services actually says, you know what? We'll pay for a place for you if you find one. So, it's pretty beautiful, actually. I'm like, it's pretty messy right now. I have like some boxes and it's, well, I guess I have a three. But I'm like, it's, yeah, it is. So, it's not really that messy, but I love it perfect because it's our perfect home. I'm so thankful and grateful. But some people are not thankful about this situation. Some people are very angry about this situation. So I'm still working every single day on MECA. Every single day. And it's helped. I mean, I joined a BNI group and, you know, I feel like there's some really great contacts there and I'll be able to meet some more really great contacts, but I think trying to explain what MECA is or what MECA's trying to do to support our caregivers and care receivers is a very difficult thing to understand for some people. They just don't get it. They're not in this world yet. But they're about to be. And believe me, when their parents start needing care, they're going to get educated and they will come to be. But I digress. Back to, so there's some people not happy about the fact that I am not there in Farmington anymore. I ruined their dream of a perfect life and a perfect family. It's kind of like, if I can't own you, then I'm going to destroy you. And that's what's going on. Every day that I get to spend time with my children, it's actually painful. Because they've been made to believe that I'm somebody I'm not. Am I pissed? Yeah. I am really pissed. I try as hard as I can to focus on the positives and stay positive, but every once in a while, I tell you, I slip up and I say this isn't fair. And now even their relationships are taking a hit, like my children together, because people are telling them that they're not really siblings and that they're only half siblings, and they grew up together. Or that I'm crazy. I am crazy. I'm crazy because I'm choosing me, I guess, and that's just not a popular thing these days or something, to really stand in your power and really speak your truth and really, claim what you want in this world and walk the path that you want. I understand, like, this happened to one of my other sons, or my oldest before, so I understand how much things can change as they get older, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt and that it isn't wrong. But again, I do have to believe that in a lot of ways, like, the fact that I am a caregiver has caused some obstacles that wouldn't necessarily be there if I was in a different profession. And obviously, I could have done pretty much anything I wanted. As a 4.0 student, I can learn anything. I can fall in love with anything, pretty much. Fall in love with the process of learning anything. So, all I want to do is feel good about the work I do. Feel like I'm making a difference. And maybe I do have more in common with millennials than I realize. That's what it feels like. Lots of people saying she hasn't earned this spot or something. I don't know. But I have. Even if you want to deny me. So I'm at a point now of not knowing really what to do with my situation other than just to give it time, ask for assistance from my higher power. So, wow, it's late now. We could keep going on, but let's not. I guess I've just needed to, tell my truth like normal, but I need to be honest with how what is it? I need to be honest about the duality, the contrast. Can't have one without the other, right? But having the one will make the other one so much more meaningful and more beautiful. Like I said, I don't want it to be at the cost of my relationships with my children, so that's the one thing that I don't want to give up. And I feel like I'm being forced to because I can't handle them talking to me the way they are. I gave up my whole family. Why them? I feel like a lot of ways my ex has stolen my life. My one son's not even biologically his, but I still let him stay there because I know it's what's best for him to have us both, you know? I don't want to ruin their relationship. They have a great relationship. I'm happy for them. But why destroy mine? So let's do deprogramming A Course in Miracles because I literally need a miracle right now. Of course. Lesson 5. I am never upset for the reason I think. This idea, like the preceding ones, can be used with any person, situation, or event you think is causing you pain. Apply it specifically to whatever you believe is the cause of your upset, using the description of the feelings in whatever term seems accurate to you. The upset may seem to be fear, worry, depression, anxiety, anger, hatred, jealousy, or any number of forms, all of which will be perceived as different. This is not true. However, until you learn that form does not matter, each form becomes a proper subject for the exercises for the day. Apply the same idea to each of them separately. Applying the same idea to each of them separately is the first step in ultimately recognizing they are all the same. When using the idea for today for a specific perceived cause of an upset in any form, use both the name of the form in which you see the upset and the cause which you ascribe to it. For example, I am not angry at my ex for the reason I think. I am not afraid of losing my children, my relationship with my children for the reason I think. But again, this should not be substituted for practice periods in which you first search for your mind for sources of upset in which you believe and forms of upset which you think result. In these exercises, more than in preceding ones, you may find it hard to be indiscriminate and to avoid giving greater weight to some subjects than others. It might help to proceed the exercises with the statement, there are no small upsets. They are all equally disturbing to my peace of mind. Then examine your mind for whatever is distressing you, regardless of how much or how little you think it is doing so. You may also find yourself less willing to apply today's idea to some perceived sources of upset than to others. If this occurs, think first of this: I cannot keep this form of upset and let the others go. For the purpose of these exercises, then, I will regard them as all the same. Then search your mind for no more than a minute or so and try to identify a number of different forms of upset that are disturbing you. Regardless of the relative importance you may give them, apply the idea for today to each of them using the name of both the source of the upset as you perceived it and of the feelings as you experience it. Further examples are, I am not worried about blank for the reason I think. I am not worried about my relationship being destroyed for the reason with my children being destroyed for the reason I think. I am not depressed about the feeling of lack as a caregiver for the reason I think. 3 or 4 times during the day is enough. So I literally am writing this down because I do not want to forget it today. That's for sure. Our caregivers. I do have to tell you, caregivers, that this is my favorite thing to do of all time. Is this, and nobody's even watching. It's hilarious. I just know one day there will be, and like, I watch my own videos, so I know it helps me, and I'm enough. So, my caregivers, I want you to know, if you do not feel supported, I am here. I am your support. I am your emotional support when you need to have somebody to go to that says you are worth it. You are worth taking a time out. You are worth your self-care. You are worth getting your hair done or your nails done. You are worth getting a new car. You are worth having it all. You are worth people saying thank you. You are worth people being grateful. You are worthy. You are full of abundance. And you deserve everything that you dream. You deserve it all. You make so many people's world beautiful. You make it all matter. So thank you. Thank you for making a difference every day. Thank you for being our support system. And thank you for being strong even when it goes unrecognized. Now have a copy. I made it at home because, you know, I'm a caregiver now. I'm on a caregiver's income. And I'm trying to pay for my place. So Starbucks cards would help. Or Caribou, Dine Brothers, whatever. Gas cards. Donations, likes, shares, comments. Please and thank you. From the goddess of radical self-love and the conscious queen, we're here for you always. MECA, make everyone count always. Thank you for being my favorite part of the day.